welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. My name's Fiona, and in today's video I am going to be using some UV resin along with these gorgeous open bezels which were recently gifted to me by Beebeecraft and as part of their YouTube program. Now if you missed that unboxing video, I will link it for you because there's a lot of great products in there, but this is what I'm going to be using today. So there's different shapes that you get in this box, and you get the same ones in silver and in gold. And today I am going to be using the round silver and gold one, and I'm going to be using one of the silver moons. Now I've not got a set plan as such, but what I want to do roughly is in the round ones, I want to make it like a sort of summery theme. So my idea is to have like a little flower type thing in the middle, and on the outside have it going sort of green from grass up to blue for the sky, and I might do a bit of yellow for the sun. That's my idea. I'm not very artistic, but I'm going to give it a go. Now these kind of give me stained glass vibes, and I love that idea. So I'm going to try two different techniques with them. With one, I'm going to use opaque colour. So I've got a whole load of the diamond dust glitter UV resin, which is already coloured, and that is opaque. I got that from Temu, so I'm going to use that in one, and in the other I'm going to make my own coloured UV resin and try to make it more sort of transparent, translucent, in the same colours, just to see what the difference is, because I think one might look a bit like sort of stained glass if it's got that translucent feel, but the one that is opaque might have a totally different feel altogether. So that's what I'm going to try to do with those. And with the moon one, I'm kind of thinking about trying to do a Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis type colours, because that's been quite big recently. A lot of places all over the world have been seeing the Northern Lights. Unfortunately, I missed it. I was sleeping at the time, but Brooke did see it. She was away, my daughter, she was away at cadets and did manage to see them really nicely. So I'm going to use a photo and just to get an idea of the colours. And people might not know that's what it's meant to be, but I will. And I don't know, these can be used as pendants, they can be used as key rings, they could maybe even be used, the transparent one might be quite nice as a sun catcher. Loads of different things you can do with them. So I'm going to get started and show you how to do this. Now, the main thing when you're working with open bezels is you need something to stop the UV resin from just running all over the place. And most of the time people use this, which is a UV resin heat resistant tape. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm basically just going to I'm going to use a different piece of tape for each bezel. So I'm just going to cut this. And I'm going to put it flat. Right, I'll just start with the silver one, I think. Now you want to make sure that you get your bezel really firmly pressed down on the tape. Make sure every area that you're going to be putting resin in is firmly on the tape so that you don't get any leaks under the lines. We don't want any leaks. So press it down as firmly as you can. And I am going to just very slightly turn the tape over on itself at the edges so that it's not sticking to my arm and it's easy for me to move under my UV lamp. Like that. Right, so this one I am going to use the diamond dust glitter, so the opaque ones. But I think what I'll do first, before I actually spend time doing the outside, I'm going to do the middle, because if that's a disaster, I don't want to have wasted all the time doing the edges and the resin, because like I said, I'm not very artistic. And I do have some little flowers here, but they're too big. It does fit, but it takes up the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I've got some nice little leaves here, which should be small enough, and I'm going to try to make my own flower with these little sort of AB diamante type things. I don't know how it will work, but let's give it a go. So in the middle, I just want that to be clear resin so that you can see the detail. So I'm going to just use, I've got my Lit Resin UV resin here. I go between this and Jade Action, just depending what I've got at the time. So I'm just going to put a small amount in here. I apologise for the dogs barking. I'm going to put a small amount in here. I don't want it to be too thick because my little inclusions are quite thick. They've got a bit of depth, and then I need to do a top coat on top. So I just want a small amount at the moment. So I've got a small amount in there, and I'm just going to use a silicone tool to spread it around a bit. I will be speeding these bits up, so don't think I'm actually working that quickly. You want to make sure that you get it right to the edge. So make sure the whole of the tape is covered. Whoops. I should be wearing gloves, I know. Do as I say, not as I do. I just realised I've no gloves on. My hands skin doesn't react to UV resin, so just make sure that it's right over to the edges, like that. And if there's any bubbles, you can pop them with a little long neck lighter. I can't see any, but especially if it's going to be clear, it's a good idea just to try and pop some, just in case. Right, so before I cure it, I actually have got a bit of UV resin on the top of the bezel, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to take a little micro brush So I've just got a micro brush and a baby wipe, and I'm just going to go over that to make sure I've not got any UV resin on the top of the bezel, because it won't look very nice once it's cured. And once it's cured, you're not getting it off without doing damage. Right, so I think I have got a full layer. I've not got any bubbles, so now I am going to attempt to put some leaves down. Got my little diamond painting tray here. Let's put some in there, and I think I will use a light one like that. I then pick up a slightly different coloured one and just lay it down beside that one. The resin won't cure until it's under the UV light, so you've got a little bit of time to move them about to where you want them. Right, so I'll just do the two leaves just now, and then I'm going to take some of these little jelly bean type things. And it's not going to be a realistic flower, obviously, so I can do any colours that I want. Artistic license is wonderful. Let me see, some nice pinks. There's a nice pink. So I'm just going to get a tiny touch of the UV resin on the point there. You can use a diamond painting tool. So I'll do that. Now I want a nice yellow one in the centre. I'm going to use my diamond painting tool, it'll be easier. And I'm just picking up random colours, I don't mind. Oops. Try not to let them disappear under the leaves. Now nothing's been cured yet, so you can move them about. That's not too bad. maybe a little bit squint, but that's not bad at all. Right, I'm going to pop that under the lamp, under my UV lamp. I have got just a cheap UV nail lamp, that's all you need. And I'll come back to you once this has had maybe 2 lots of 90 seconds. So that's had 2 lots of 90 seconds. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put another layer on. I did notice it is slightly squint, it's leaning that way a little bit. And I've got these little butterfly temporary tattoos. I don't know if they're going to be too big, but I thought maybe putting one of them up here might sort of distract from the fact that it's a bit squint, or it's maybe just windy. Right, let's go for another layer. So I'm not going to do too thick a layer just now, in case I do decide to go in with that tattoo. I'm getting close to the end of this bottle, and if you notice any of the UV resin has shrunk away from the sides of it, it can happen. Just make sure that when you're putting your next layer on, you go right to the edges again, just in case. And you will notice I did take that time to put my gloves on. Because, yeah, be safe. Always better to be safe than sorry. So this layer isn't going to completely cover the top of the leaves and the little diamante things, because like I said, I might do the little tattoo, but I'm just trying to get it as even as I can over everything just now. You will want to dome it eventually, but you want to make sure you've got everything in, all your layers first. I'm going to take my little micro brush just to clean the edges again. Take my little lighter. I tend not to spray with alcohol when it's UV resin. Well, my mat's very dirty, so I can't tell if that's little bubbles or if it's just dirty bits on the mat underneath the tape. I think that should be okay. So I'm going to cure this. I'm going to give it a couple of 90 seconds again, and then I'm going to go in with one of these butterflies. So always make sure your UV resin's away from the lamp when it's on. Right, let's cut one of these out. I'm thinking that's quite a small one there. I might do that because it's a tattoo as well, so it will be reversed. So it will look like it's going towards the flower. So let me just take some scissors. And I want to trim it as much as possible so that I've got a rough idea of where it's going. Because obviously it goes down, face down, so you can't really see where you're putting it. Don't want to cut my glove. And also remember, if you're using temporary tattoos, there is a clear layer of protective film over it. You need to take that off. Whoops, first, did that come off? Yes, it did. Because you'll just waste your tattoo if you try to put it down with the protective film on. Now this is risky, this could completely ruin the piece, but I want to give it a go. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, so I'm just going to take my tweezers, and I know that that is the little antenna of the butterfly there. So I want to lie it as close to the edge. Now it is sticky once you take the protective film off, so when you place it, it's placed. You can't really move it. So it is going slightly over the flower, which is fine. So I'm sticking that down, and now you need to use water, which in itself is risky because water and resin do not mix, but that is how we get the backing of the tattoo. Now make sure you use a water spray and not an alcohol spray, because I've done that before and it completely ruins the tattoo. So I'm just going to get a bit of a blue roll, not too big because again I don't want to get resin wet where it doesn't need to be, and make sure that you do cure your resin before doing this stage. So I've just got some water here, I'll just wet my blue roll and put it on the back end just for maybe 30 seconds or a minute or so until you feel it coming loose. I will make sure to completely dry the bezel again before continuing. There we go. It's not bad actually. Let me have a look. It's quite hard to see it, but you can. Yeah, I quite like that. Right, I need to dry the rest of this now. So yeah, make sure that there is no water left before carrying on. And be careful not to leave the bits of fibre like that. Or hairs, which is always an occupational hazard in this house because of all the dogs and the cat. I can't blame the bearded dragon for the hairs. Right, I think that's fine. I'm now going to put a top layer of UV resin on here. And this time I do want it to go right to the top because I'm not adding any extra layers on here. Come on, I might need to break out my other one, but is anyone else like me and refuse to move on to the next bottle until you're sure there's no drips left? It's not cheap stuff. So a nice thick layer. Yes, I see the bubbles. Pop, pop. You don't want it overflowing, but you do want it right to the top if possible. Try getting right down eye level with it. That looks not bad. Is there any bubbles? I'll let it sit for a minute or so any bubbles come to the top, and then I will cure it and then I'll come back. That's a 2 lots of 90 seconds. I'm not worried that it's not fully cured yet because I'm still going to be putting it under the lamp with the outside bits. So it will end up being fully cured. But I forgot all about my little trick, or the little trick for things like this. And that is to sit on top of a mirror or a reflective surface. And that way the rays, the UV rays, will bounce back up and cure it from the bottom as well. I will turn it over and give it a proper cure as well, but it's always a good tip. Right, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in the little open areas around the outside using my diamond dust UV resin. So down the bottom I'm going to use different greens, I'm going to use blues at the top, and I might have a little sun up there, a little bit of yellow. Now I'm going to speed that up for you because we'll be here all day otherwise, but you'll be able to get the idea of what I'm actually doing. So that is the first layer of all of the colours done. Now I meant to say, because this is opaque and it's UV resin, you really need the rays to be able to go through it. It's best to do it in thin layers rather than filling it all up in one go, and that way you know that it's going to get properly cured. So that's why I've just put a small amount in each, and basically all I'm going to do now off camera is go back in with the same colours again, if I can remember what colour I used where, and fill them all up, and then I will come back to you once they have been cured. Okay, welcome back. So I have finished this one. I've not taken it off the tape yet. We'll do a proper reveal once the other one's done, but I basically just layered up the UV resin around the outside and cured it in between layers. So that one is done. I've also turned it over and cured it from the bottom. So I'm going to put that to the side. Now this one, the gold one, I have got to the same stage that we were at before, so I've completely done the centre. I was much happier with this flower, so I didn't bother with the butterfly this time, just make it a wee bit different. And I decided, because the outside isn't going to be glittery, that I would use the glittery leaves in the middle. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that, and I'm ready to start working around the outside. So because I don't want to use the glittery opaque UV resin this time, I'm going to make my own. So I've got lots of little disposable tubs here. They are disposable, but I want to get as much out of them as I can, so I do tend to clean them in between uses, because yeah, UV resin, if you let it cure in here, it's almost impossible to get out, or at least in my experience. If you know how to do it, let me know. So before I cure it, I usually just spray it with alcohol and give it a clean. Anyway, I have got 3 different colours of green, 3 different colours of blue, just the same as the first one, and a yellow as well. So I'm going to do the same, but making up my own. You could also put it into the little needle tip bottles as well, if you use black ones, or cover them in packing tape. You can basically keep the colours there, but I'm not planning to do anything else with UV resin for a while, so I'm not going to bother doing that. So I only need a tiny amount of each. So I am just going to put in a little squeeze of UV resin in each of my little tubs. If I need more, I can make more, but I would rather have too little. What's that? 2, 4. Oh, it's going everywhere. And I haven't really had great experiences with alcohol ink and UV resin before, but I'm going to give it a go again because I want it translucent. And I did think about using just glitter, but then I thought it might be a bit too wishy-washy, so I'm going to give it a go and we'll see what happens. I literally want a tiny amount of each in there. So I will go for the greens first. So I literally want a drop of UV resin in each, and I don't know how these, oh, that was a lot, Fiona. What I should actually have done is popped some on my silicone mat and then just used my dotty tool to put it in. This might be too much. We will see, we will see. Let's give it a go. So again, I will speed this up for you, and I will be doing it in layers. that is finally curing, I have decided I've got some of this blue left, and I think putting that on the back of this is going to make the butterfly stand out a bit more. So I'm going to give it a try while I'm waiting for that to cure. So let's take the backing, the tape off. It should come off nicely. I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. So there is the back, which is nice. And looking at the front, I do think it's going to stand out more if I put some of that blue resin on the back. I talked myself into it. Hindsight, I shouldn't have. And I also decided to do it off camera because the video's getting quite long, and I'll come back to you. Right, so I basically just covered the centre bit in the blue. I didn't put it right around the outside. So I've not looked at it yet. It has cured. Let's have a look at it together. So that is it from the back. We've lost the butterfly completely now. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. You can see it slightly. That's a shame. I thought it might make the butterfly stand out more, but it hasn't. But it's still pretty. It is still very pretty. I might have a butterfly sticker somewhere that I might put on the top. We'll see. But isn't it really nice? I love the look. I just wish I hadn't spoiled it with that, but never mind. I'm not going to keep going and add more things to and just make it worse. But yeah, I liked it the way it was before. Lesson learned, Fiona, leave things alone. So that is nice. I think I might turn that into a keychain. And this is the other one that I have just turned over and cured from the back. Let's take it off. Very sticky. It may need another little cure from the back. It's not bad actually. And that is that one. So I think I'm going to turn this one into a pendant, that one into a keychain, and then once they are finished, I will take some photos and show you. I am not going to do the moon, the Aurora Borealis today because I've not got time. I will definitely do it at some point. I'm going to cure these just a little bit more. I will definitely do it at some point, but I'm not going to do it in today's video. I've just ran out of time. But I love these bezels. There are so many different things that you can do with them. And I love the different shapes and things as well. So yeah, I'll definitely play about more with them. Thank you again to Beebeecraft for gifting these to me as part of the YouTube programme. The link to Beebeecraft and these bezels will be in the description of this video. I also have a discount code which will be there as well. And if you fancy being part of their YouTube programme and you've got 100 subscribers or more, follow the link that I've got in my description and you could also get gifted free product to show your lovely viewers. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please do hit the thumbs up button. Talk to me in the comments below. Let me know what you think of them. And I'll see you in our next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.